So I got a question for you since we've got the Sweet 16 coming up and Alabama is taking on Michigan in one of those games. Right now, if you look at the odds board, they're telling us that Bama sitting around, I don't know, plus 420 or so on the money line. Michigan sitting around minus 550 as a favorite. They're also laying 10 and a half points. Now, if you believe that Alabama can win this game, my question is, how are you betting it? Are you taking Bama on the money line, plus 420? Are you grabbing the 10 and a half points? Or maybe you're doing a little bit of both? Now, what if I told you there's a better move to make, and it's got nothing to do with the game market, but rather buying the price on the move if Alabama wins? Hey, I'm Joe Ranieri with WagerTalk.com. And listen, if you're looking at this Sweet 16 board and you're wondering, how do I game plan this? How do I make money while risking less? Is that even possible? Well, stay with me here because this Alabama and Michigan game is a perfect example of why prediction markets matter. And here's what I'm talking about. The odds makers are telling you that Bama's a live dog. Not a Hail Mary, not some lottery ticket. They're a real dog. So how do we know this? Well, it's easy. Let's do a little math. And yes, I know math is hard, but that's why they created artificial intelligence and Claude. Because if you ask Claude what the implied probability of a plus 420 money line dog is, it'll give you roughly 19% as an answer. So the book is telling you that Bama wins this game about one set of every 5 times they play it. That's not dead. That's very much a barking dog. Now, flip over to the prediction markets. And look at that. I happen to have Kalshi open right here. And the market that I am looking for on Kalshi is the one where you're buying teams at prices that are tied to a bigger outcome. What do I mean? Well, how about winning the national championship? And when we look at this market, we can see Alabama is sitting there at 1 cent. 1 cent. That means the game market is telling you that Bama is live enough to win the game 1 out of every 5 times they'll play it. But the championship market, they're pricing them like they don't matter. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call an edge. That's the kind of mispricing that makes you money. And that's why the predictive markets are more valuable than you think. So we've got the sportsbooks market reacting and adjusting, to the actual game, while the predictive market is acting as if Bama should already be on the bus back home. And the gap between those two is exactly where your edge lives. Now, I need you to understand, I am not buying Bama at 1 cent because I need them to win the national championship. That's not the play. I'm buying Alabama at 1 cent because if they beat Michigan, that number has to move. I don't always need the outcome. I need the move. And if Alabama wins on Friday, that 1 cent ticket doesn't need 3 more wins to cash from Alabama. It only needs to get repriced. Because once it gets repriced, well, now you've got leverage. And now you've got cash out potential. And most importantly, you've got options. And that's the part you need to understand, which most people don't. Because at a sportsbook, you need to be right in the end to actually cash a ticket. Well, at the prediction markets, you can get paid because you were right before the market caught up with it. So instead of asking, can Alabama win 4 games and cut down the nets? What I'm asking is, what happens to Alabama's price the second they knock off Michigan? Because if Alabama wins this game, that number jumps, and that jump is where money gets made. So to keep it simple, we've got the sportsbook saying Bama is very much live in this game. The prediction markets say Alabama barely matters at all in the big picture. But those two things cannot both be right at the same time. And that gap between them is exactly where the opportunity for profits reside. And that's why prediction markets matter. They're going to let you profit from price movement, not just final outcomes. You're not just betting who wins. You're betting that the market is going to be late and that you're getting there first when it comes to its price. Because the sportsbook mindset says, do I think Alabama can beat Michigan? The prediction market mindset says, if Alabama beats Michigan, how far does that title price move, and how do I get paid on that move? So now that we can understand why predictive markets can help us be more profitable, let me lay out how I'm attacking this game. Because I'm going to be taking Bama plus the points in the sportsbook market. Because that gives me protection if they keep it close, but don't win. They don't have to win the game, by the way, for that bet to cash. We all understand that. But if I also grab that cheap Bama title price in the prediction market at 1 cent, well, now I've got leverage if they actually win outright. Understand, I am not asking one bet to do everything like so many do. The prediction market gives me upside. The spread gives me protection. And if Alabama pulls the upset, well, that's when both markets start working for us. And by the way, this is not just an Alabama thing. St. John's versus Duke, Arkansas versus Arizona. If the sports book is telling you those teams are live enough to make the game dangerous, and the prediction markets are still pricing them like they barely matter, that's the same opportunity we're talking about. That's the pattern. That's the edge. Because I don't care who wins the championship. We're buying the mispricing of the market. And if you compare that to the way that you and many others probably have been betting this tournament, you bet a side, you bet a money line, you bet a total, or maybe you fire a big 5-team money line parlay because apparently, well, pain builds character. It certainly helps build casinos, I'll tell you that. But all of that depends on you being right at the finish line. In the predictive markets, it's about being early. That's why these predictive markets are so valuable. So when you hear Kalshi and Polymarket and you're hearing all of this stuff about predictive markets, but you have no idea how to use them or why you would use them or why use them versus the sports book that you already have an app for, it doesn't mean that you should stop betting spreads. It also doesn't mean that you should stop betting money lines and totals. It means that you need to use everything at your disposal. Again, use the spread for protection, use the money line for the upside, and use the prediction markets for leverage when it's available. Because now you're attacking the same game from multiple angles. You're not just asking one bet to do all the heavy lifting. That is how you make real profits while risking less money. So again, guys, I hope this helps you have a better understanding of what the predictive markets are. But more importantly, if you've never really understood how to use them or why you would use them, I hope this gives you some ideas as far as what the options are that these markets can provide for you. Drop me a comment or any questions that you have down below. I certainly appreciate you guys taking the time to hang with us, and I want you to hit that subscribe button. And I need you to keep in mind that all tournament long, all NBA playoffs long, and all Major League Baseball season, I'm going to be looking for these mispriced markets. I'm also going to be hunting down the value and looking for that leverage in the predictive markets, because after all, at the end of the day, aren't we all just looking for an edge?